Blizzard howls, snow races sideways, stinging your face. You feel that deep, bone-chilling cold starting to creep in, threatening to steal your warmth. No lighter, no matches, just a flat piece of high-carbon steel, a shard of flint, and a fistful of dry tinder. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, the Vikings didn't just live through this nightmare, they conquered it again and again. They left us a blueprint for fire starting so reliable, so ingenious, that modern bushcrafters still copy it line for line. Today we're going to dive deep into that exact method, step by step, sound for sound, so you can confidently coax a living flame from seemingly nothing, even while the world freezes solid around you. It's more than just a skill, it's a connection to an ancient resilience. Picture this. You're 8 kilometers from the trailhead, the sky suddenly collapses into a thick blanket of cloud, and the wind whips from 20 to 60 kilometers an hour. Every single twig you touch is rimed in ice. Your matches? Soaked through. Your fancy lighter? The piezo just hissed its last pathetic wet spark. Panic starts knocking, doesn't it? It's a primal fear. Now freeze that frame, because the Vikings felt this same gut punch every single winter in the North Atlantic. Their solution wasn't some lucky accident or a one-off stroke of genius. No, it was a honed, perfected routine called dreppa up eld, literally to strike up a fire. And it wasn't just for fair weather. This method worked in blinding whiteouts, on treacherous sea ice, inside their half-buried, drafty longhouses, everywhere they needed it. If they could do it with fingers stiff from the cold, battling the relentless elements, you absolutely can too. Let me show you how to unlock that ancient wisdom. First things first, let's understand the essential kit. A Viking fire steel is nothing exotic, but it is precisely engineered. A palm-sized bar of high-carbon steel, typically about 3 to 4 fingers long, often hand-forged and shaped so its edge can effectively bite into the flint. This wasn't just a tool, it was a lifeline, often carried like a prized possession. Archaeologists consistently pull these distinctive C-shaped or oval steels out of graves from Iceland all the way to Kiev, a testament to their widespread use and critical importance. You'll pair that steel with a rock that fractures with a sharp conchoidal edge. Flint is ideal, but chert, quartzite, or even a piece of obsidian or broken bottle base can work in a pinch. The key is that sharp edge, which effectively shaves off tiny particles of the steel. And finally, you need tinder that glows, not immediately bursts into flame. My absolute favorite, charcloth. This is partially charred cotton cloth, cooked in an Altoids tin over a campfire until it's black but not ash. It's incredibly efficient at catching and holding a spark, smoldering with a hot ember rather than flaming outright. But don't stop there. Also carry a golf ball-sized bundle of finely processed jute fibers, a pouch of dried birch polypore fungus, often boiled and softened by Vikings to make it catch sparks even easier, and a thumb-sized nugget of fatwood. These 4 crucial items, weighing less than your car keys, form a formidable team that laughs in the face of sleet, snow, and driving rain. They are your insurance policy against the cold. Before you even think about striking a spark, your absolute priority is to get out of the wind. Wind is the enemy of a nascent flame. It steals heat, extinguishes sparks, and makes working with delicate tinder nearly impossible. Vikings were masters of efficiency. They didn't waste precious energy building huge, roaring bonfires. Instead, they focused on small, hot fires in protected microsites. So what are you looking for? Seek the lee side of a large boulder, the dense shelter offered by a fallen spruce. Or, if conditions demand, dig a knee-deep pit. If you dig a pit, you can even roof it with a snow slab, creating a surprisingly effective insulated chamber. The goal is to create a pocket of calm where your breath steams directly upward rather than being whipped away horizontally by the wind. This microclimate is crucial for success. Once you have your sheltered spot, pack the floor of your fire site with a thick layer, at least 1 finger thick, of fresh pine boughs. These aren't just for comfort, they insulate your precious embers from the cold, wet ground and, more importantly, from the insidious snowmelt that kills more fires than anything else. The ground beneath a fire can quickly turn to slush, and that moisture will snuff out your efforts. These boughs create a vital buffer, keeping your fire's foundation dry and warm. Now, let's talk about the heart of your fire, the tinder bundle. This isn't just a random pile of fluff, it's a carefully constructed piece of engineering designed to nurture a fragile ember into a vibrant flame. First, take your char cloth and gently loosen it until it feels like velvet to the touch. Then tear your jute into fine, fluffy hair-like strands. You want to mix these two roughly 50-50. Why this specific blend? The char cloth offers a large, easily ignitable surface area for the spark, while the jute provides a slower-burning, more substantial core for the ember to feed on. It's a perfect synergy. Shape this mixed tinder into a bird's nest. Think about the size of a baseball or maybe a large grapefruit. Crucially, leave a thumb-sized depression right in the center. This dimple is your ember cradle. When a spark lands there, the surrounding sides of the nest gently lean in, creating a natural funnel. This geometry ensures oxygen flows up and through the ember, rather than being dispersed by wind or suffocated by dense material. The ember gets the air it needs to grow, transforming from a tiny glow into a robust, living coal. The Vikings didn't invent physics, but they certainly understood and obeyed its principles perfectly. This is where the magic happens, where ancient technique meets raw physics. Hold the flint firmly in your offhand, with your thumb on top and your index finger curled underneath, providing a stable grip. Lay your carefully prepared tinder bundle across the flint, positioning it so the sharp edge of the rock kisses the depression you made in the char cloth. The goal is for the sparks to land directly into that sweet spot. Now, grip your steel striker like you mean it, with a confident, firm hold. The traditional Viking method involves striking the steel downward against the flint, rather than hitting the flint with the steel. This creates a shower of sparks that naturally fly up and onto your waiting tinder. Strike downward at a shallow angle. Think of shaving a delicate curl of chocolate, not chopping wood with brute force. A short, firm, precise stroke is key. This action shears off tiny microflakes of the high-carbon steel. The friction and force generate enough heat to ignite these minuscule steel particles, sending them showering off at a searing 800 degrees Celsius, 1,472 degrees Fahrenheit. As these incandescent sparks fountain upward, one will inevitably land in your char cloth, and with a tiny puff, ignite into a glowing pinhead. You'll see a faint but unmistakable orange bloom appear in the center of your tinder nest. That, my friend, is your lifeline. That's the spark of life. The moment you see that glowing pinhead, drop the steel. This is a critical transition, requiring calm and focus. Immediately cup both hands around the tinder bundle, protecting that fragile ember from any stray breeze. Gently tilt the bundle so the ember rests right in the heart of the nest, surrounded by all that fluffy tinder. Now, bring the bundle to your lips. This is where many people go wrong, trying to blow too hard. Resist that urge. You need to breathe low and steady. Think about fogging up a pair of cold sunglasses, not blowing out birthday candles. You're trying to gently feed oxygen to the ember, not blast it away. Count it out. 1, 2, 3. On 4, you should start to smell hot cotton candy. That's the tinder beginning to char and release its gases. The smoke will thicken, and the bundle will grow noticeably hot against your palms. When that gentle hiss turns into a distinct crackle, you're almost there. Carefully, slowly open the nest just enough to slip a pencil-sized sliver of fat wood inside, right next to the glowing ember. Fat wood is packed with resin and will catch quickly. One heartbeat later, with continued gentle breathing, you'll have open flame. No drama, no hurried shaking, no desperate fumbling. Just deliberate, practiced calm. It's a dance between breath, tinder, and the nascent fire. Once you have that glorious flame, you need to build a fire that can stand up to a blizzard. The Vikings, ever practical, loved what's known as the long log, lay for storms, and for good reason. Push 2 wrist-thick logs parallel to each other, about 8 inches apart. This creates a channel. Wedge your flaming tinder bundle between them at one end. Then lay finger-thick sticks across the gap, like decking on a miniature bridge. This isn't just aesthetically pleasing, it's genius. As the snow falls and melts, it drips into the gap between the 2 larger logs, turning directly into steam. This rising steam actually forms a protective shield, deflecting wind and keeping the core flame surprisingly dry. It's a natural, self-regulating micro-shelter for your fire. Now feed your fire shingle style. Start with thin, thumb-sized sticks, then gradually move to wrist-thick branches, and finally forearm-sized logs. Resist the common urge to pile logs into a teepee shape, especially in snowy conditions. That just invites a disastrous waterfall of melting snow right onto your flame. Keep everything low, tight, and angled strategically toward your shelter wall. This simple positioning ensures that the radiant heat reflects back into your protected space, maximizing warmth and efficiency. It's about building smart, not just big. Even with the best preparation, things can go sideways. But a true Viking doesn't panic, they adapt. Got wet tinder? Don't despair. Shove it inside your wool layers, close to your body. 30 minutes of your own body heat will often steam dry it enough to be usable. Frozen fingers making it hard to grip that small steel. Here's a trick. Trap the steel between your middle and ring finger, then flex your wrist to strike rather than trying to articulate your whole hand. The sparks might fly a little smaller, but they'll still be hot enough to do the job. No fat wood? No problem. Look for cedar or juniper trees. Their resinous outer bark burns like crazy, providing an excellent alternative. Birch bark too is incredibly flammable, even when damp, thanks to its natural oils. Snow too deep to find dry sticks? Don't dig aimlessly. Instead, find a dead standing trunk, a snag. Split it open with your axe and carve feather sticks from the inner wood. Even after days of blizzard, the wood inside a dead standing tree is often bone dry and ready to ignite. It's all about knowing where to look and how to prepare what nature provides. Now I'm a stickler for tradition, but I'm also practical. That's why I carry a 1-inch ferro rod, often glued into a beautifully carved reindeer antler handle. It sparks hotter and more reliably than traditional flint and steel, especially in truly abysmal conditions. But here's the thing, I scrape it with the same high-carbon striker that the Vikings used. It's the best of both worlds, historical aesthetic meets modern reliability. Purists might sneer, muttering about authenticity. But let me tell you, when your kids' teeth are chattering, or your own core temperature is dropping fast, you'll take every single edge you can get. This isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about survival. It's about blending the wisdom of the past with the best tools of the present to ensure you make it through. The sagas rarely mention panic or despair. Instead, they speak volumes about patience and resilience. The old Norse word, Þolinmœði, isn't just patience in our modern sense. It means the courage to wait, or endurance with courage. It implies a deep inner strength to withstand hardship without breaking. Once your fire breathes its first flickering flame, don't immediately rush to the next task. Pause. Warm your hands. Let that deep, primitive gratitude replace the adrenaline that's been coursing through you. That mindset, that ability to acknowledge the victory, however small, and cultivate inner calm, is what kept Viking explorers alive when storms raged for a week straight, trapping them in their longhouses. It's about focusing on the present moment and the immediate success. Teach your crew, your companions, or even just yourself, to feed the fire, not the fear. A calm mind is as vital as a warm fire in the wilderness, and the Vikings mastered both. If this deep dive into ancient firecraft saved you a future shiver or just sparked a little curiosity, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this video with that friend who still thinks a Bic lighter is enough for anything nature throws at them. Drop a comment below telling me the coldest, wildest, or most challenging place you've ever had to start a fire. Let's see who wins the Frost Crown. I've got more Viking survival hacks coming your way every single week, so tap that bell and you'll never miss a trick to outsmart the wild. The Vikings didn't dominate the unforgiving North because they were inherently tougher or more physically imposing than everyone else. They dominated because they were systematic, intelligent, and deeply attuned to the natural world. High-carbon steel, a sharp rock, meticulously prepared dry tinder, and calm, practiced hands. That simple, elegant recipe turned a frozen beach into a cooking hearth and a shelter from the storm 1,000 years ago. Gear changes, weather patterns shift, but the fundamental laws of physics and the boundless capacity for human ingenuity do not. Pack the right kit, practice these motions diligently in your backyard, before the storm hits. And you will carry forward the enduring secret that allowed an entire civilization to not just survive, but to truly laugh at winter. Stay warm, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next snowy trail.